it'll be a nice ride going out downwind. Coming back, it might be a little more interesting.
Built in 1887, the Anclote Lighthouse served the maritime community for nearly 100 years. It stands 110 feet tall at the southern end of Anclote Key, 3 miles off Tarpon Springs, Florida. A nature preserve protected by the state of Florida, the island is open to the public for fishing, birdwatching, camping, picnicking, and other recreational activities. The lighthouse itself is open for climbing during scheduled open houses throughout the year.
Well, we have perfect weather for a lighthouse tour today.
Hang on.
There's the lighthouse about 2 miles away.
Critical. That's what we do here. We provide the habitat and green space for the wildlife, sea turtles, shorebirds, wading birds. As you know, we run out of green space quite quickly in Pinellas County.
Well, we're on the boardwalk walking to the lighthouse. We've just turned the corner. You know, back in the 50s when this station was still active, this was deep water. This was, the boathouse was here. This is where the Coast Guard brought their boats up. There was a winch there. They could pull equipment in. This boardwalk was put in, I believe it was 2002, and it was actually put in to facilitate the restoration of the light, which was, restored in 2003.
The lighthouse is approximately 110 feet tall, and there's 130 steps from the bottom to the top. It's on a dusk to dawn timer. The lens turns 24 hours a day. The bulb itself actually comes on at sunset. It's all automatic, except that's why I'm here. When it's not automatic, I'm the one in charge of getting it lit and make it come on.
If you look down here, you'll see a Roman numeral 2 scratched in all these metal pieces. This lighthouse is basically a giant erector set. It's like a model kit. Part A goes to Part B. The lighthouse was abandoned by the Coast Guard in 1984 due to the fact that it just wasn't being used by the local mariners, and it was expensive to maintain. I first came out here in, I believe it was 2001. At the time, you could come up to what is now the picnic area, but you had to hike across the swamp. You went through the gate, and the inside of the area was massively overgrown. There was a strangler fig growing up around the front door. People like to come out here and vandalize it. I've heard stories that people piled brush up in the base of it and set it on fire. Obviously, people graffitied all over it, and most of it was corroded beyond reuse. It had become derelict at that point. Now we've made it to the one landing. The stairs get half as wide, very narrow.
Wow. What a view.
Been coming out here for 20 years and I never tire of this view. I'll keep doing it as long as I can climb up here.
Yeah. We do have an old great horned owl's nest. There's a great horned owl's nest just past the house. We've got an osprey nest about halfway to the beach, and we had a bald eagle's nest towards the north end of the island, but Unfortunately, it came down in a windstorm this past spring. And had 2 eaglets, and we rescued one, got rehabbed, and it's been turned loose. There are 2 like access roads. There's a little hiking path that goes through the picnic area and goes north and then dumps out onto the Gulf side just by the dunes. And then there's also like a little jeep path through the woods. And over my right shoulder you can see Dutchman Key, which I believe is still a federal reserve. And there's also a couple of smaller islands on the north end of Anclote Key, which is why they call it the Anclote Keys. There's one privately owned island on the very north end, and it has a small tiki hut on the north end of Anclote Key. The lighthouse keeper's house and the assistant lighthouse keeper's house. There are 2 houses out here. The little concrete bunker is actually a cistern to collect rainwater. That's the only source of fresh water they had on the island.
So this is the original pedestal of the third order lens that was in the lighthouse originally. It's adjustable up and down. If you loosen up these brackets, you could actually sit here and spin it, and it would spin up so that they could raise and lower the focal plane of the lens to get it right where the lens wanted it. What you're looking at is a fourth order rotating lens. It's a replica, it's not an original. It's made out of acrylic instead of glass.
On a clear night you can see 16 miles. And the Anclote light signature is 4 flashes, 4 white flashes every 30 seconds. As you see the panels on the lens itself, every time the lens rotates to your direction, it appears to flash. Then it gets dim. The next panel rotates to you, it flashes again, and the copper back plate is the actual pause where you don't see the light at all. 4 white flashes every 30 seconds.
I've been out here, coming out to Anclote Key for 3 years now, and I never get tired of this view. Coming up here to the lighthouse, it's just an amazing view.
A lot of this cleaned up area down here when we came out was wilderness. We cleaned up all this, cut all the weeds and briars and poison oak out to give you this nice flat open space that's here.
Okay, from the top of the lighthouse you get a great view of the resident ranger's house, along with the solar arrays and solar panels, because the whole island is powered by solar. There are no Duke energy, nothing. It's all self-sufficient with solar energy, reverse osmosis system, totally off the grid.
Well, after the Coast Guard deactivated the station in 1984, locals realized, hey, something has to be done. And they started almost immediately raising funds. At one point we even had, I think it was like $750,000 in the state budget to start the restoration of the light. Unfortunately, that was vetoed. We didn't get the money that year. But there were groups, the U.S. Lighthouse Society, the local Tampa Bay Harbor Lights Collectors Club, local businesses, matching grants, and eventually the state finally kicked in, and by 2003 we had the approximately $1.5 million that it took to restore the light.
Exactly. That's what we should say on tape.
That was definitely worth the climb. Oh, so much easier coming down.
It's 130 steps from the bottom to the top.
To the light.
To the light. This is the oil house. When the lighthouse was first built, it was powered by kerosene, diesel fuel, and this was the building they used to store the fuel and the oil in.
So Anclote Key's light, as you may have noticed, is an interesting light. It's a pyramidal skeleton tower. It was designed that way to allow wind and waves to freely flow through and around the structure so it wouldn't be damaged by storms. This is the third light that was built of this particular style. The first one was in Sanibel, Florida. The second one was in Cape San Blas, Florida. Before this style of light was built, it was very hard to build lighthouses in Florida. The first couple of lights that they built were destroyed by hurricanes. The company that built it actually assembled it in their foundry. And then they took it apart, put it on a ship, and it was supposed to be here March 1st of 1887. It didn't arrive until June of 1887, and then it took another month for them to get all this heavy metal work onto the island. So can you imagine working with cast iron? It's been sitting in the summer sun building this. It had to be fun. But they assembled it in approximately 2 months. They started in early July, and light was lit in September of 1887, which just as a useless trivia is the same year that Tarpon Springs was incorporated, which is the main town over here, and also the year that the railroad came to town. So it was a happening place that year.
Since the year 2000, the state park system has relied on the Friends of Anclote Key State Park and Lighthouse, volunteers who share a love of the island and lighthouse and spend countless hours on projects including grounds cleanup, boardwalk construction and repair, painting, cleaning, and trash pickup. The Friends also conduct lighthouse open houses, and the lighthouse is open for climbing. The Friends group welcomes and encourages caring people to join them in supporting the island and lighthouse. Visit our website for more information.
The most trips I've made in one day to the top is 6 different trips, 6 times up and down, up and down. That was to remove some trash and just clean out the lantern room.
Yeah.
That was a long day.
So you're in pretty good shape there, aren't you?
I try, yes. You can't help it.